the Park and Recreation Commission meeting to order here, the March meeting. I'm Chairman Kelly Rosecrans. Could we do a round the table self-introduction here before we get started?
Steve Cook, Alderman. Eric Johnson.
Greg Rowan. Greg Hatt, Alderman.
Lee Tell.
Dawn Resources staff.
Zach Fruick, Mayor.
Tom Michael. Tom Sox. Chad Schooley. Tom Merrill, District 4, Alderman.
And a Recreation Director for Engineering. So thank you and welcome public viewers as well. So our first item of business here is to approve the December 6th, 2017 minutes. It's been a while since we've had a meeting. So are there any additions or omissions or any discussion?
Motion to approve the December 6, 2017.
Okay, motion made by Steve. Is there a second? Greg? Motion made and seconded to approve the December 6th minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 3, presentation from the Mayor's Youth Council regarding the Zoom Master Plan updates. And it looks like they just
Fresh off the press, these folks were part of a group. The Mayor's Youth Council is about 21 members, I think, this year. It's a 2-year commitment, and so we've got a crop of some new members and some members that have been joined, that have been around for a few years now, and we just came from our meeting downstairs. And one of the projects of which they're working on is the Zoom Master Plan. So they were in charge of some of the outreach and providing some research and guidance for our work, and so they're here to talk about that.
All right, so we're just going to start with some introductions. I'm Hannah Nyman. I'm a junior at Lincoln High School.
My name is Claire Free, and I'm a sophomore at Lincoln High School.
I'm Kayla Hallman, and I'm also a junior at Lincoln High School. We are super excited to talk to you guys today about the Zoom Master Plan.
So yes, just this past summer, I believe, the city received a gift of $300,000 focused on improving our local zoo. And after that, Madeline approached the Mayor's Youth Council asking for the youth opinions and help on just creating an idea of what exactly we want to go forward with and add to the zoo with this money. So after that, we went forward and we did a lot of things like zoo research and going on a tour of what we have right now and creating a survey to put out to the community and get as much information as we can to figure out what exactly we want to add to the zoo.
Yeah, so last fall, the Mayor's Youth Council, we went on a tour of the zoo that we currently have, looked at the exhibits, started coming up with ideas of things that we needed to improve with the zoo. And then from there, we split off into groups and we conducted research on zoos from around the state, thought about what we liked about it, what we didn't like, things that we wanted to implement into our master plan and to get into the Wisconsin Rapids Zoo. And then from there, we worked with Madeline to develop survey questions that we sent out into the community to get feedback on what the community wanted us to implement into the zoo. And now Kayla's going to talk about the results.
So I have the results from the survey, and overall, we received back 638 responses from our survey that we sent out. Positive news was that 68% of our respondents did visit the zoo in 2017. And when that was encouraging to read, another stat caught our eye. 60% of the people who did not attend the zoo in 2017 stated it was because they had already visited the zoo or that there were no new attractions offered. In other words, been there, done that. With that in mind, we decided to ask what kinds of animals, exhibits they would like to see added to the zoo. The top 5 answers were river otters, which are the best. Our favorite, we really want them, so that was one of the top answers. Next one was bears, the next was red pandas, after that was wolves, and then carp and koi feeding ponds. Another feature of the zoo that we asked about were the kinds of physical changes they would like to see implemented. The top answers for those were new animal exhibits, which I just mentioned, expanding the petting zoo, improving the habits of current exhibits, and having interactive children's play activities. And then lastly, our survey asked what kind of programmatic changes the community would like to see. And the most frequent answers were having more special or seasonal events, having educational programming features, an expanded season for having the zoo open, concessions, food vendors, and food carts. With this community input about the future direction of our Wisconsin Rapids Zoo, our Mayor Youth Council has created a master plan that we would like to show you. Claire will now present our development plan.
So yes, these are two drafts of what we are hoping to add to the zoo with information that we received from the survey. And so we are highlighting some new exhibits. We're hoping to have 3 more big, what is that called? Feature exhibits. So to bring in, and we'll use that information from the survey. So bring in like the river otters and bears and hopefully place those in those exhibits that people can look at. And there are also lots of things like playgrounds, there are new parking spaces and a beaver den or climbing hill for kids to play on. So lots of new things that everyone can enjoy and get involved with at the zoo. And also we have over here, there's an existing stormwater pond just next to the zoo, and we are hoping to construct a path going all the way around it. It's for walking or biking, and we'll also put lots of educational posters around it and benches, and we'll plant new species of plants and get new animals, bugs hopefully going around it so people can go around and enjoy nature and hopefully learn something new while going around it. So, and we are hopefully going to talk to MSA and get their approval and they will help us implement all the results from the survey into the zoo and make it all work out and come together.
Yeah, so we're super excited about all these new exhibits that we have. Like Claire said, we're going to send the results of the survey to MSA and we'll get their feedback and input on implementing the results of the survey more concretely into the master plan and developing new drafts as we go along. And we're super excited for the future involvement, giving the youth feedback, the youth perspective, helping with whatever we can to make the zoo better.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming in, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Excellent, great presentation there.
Nice job.
Thank you.
That's good. So,
River otters.
Yes.
River otters. Every meeting we go to, the entirety of the Mayor's Youth Council is very passionate about river otters.
Super cute, right?
Yeah.
River otters.
I think we may just did.
and the existing stormwater pond, I live right near there, and I walk back there quite a bit, and that's kind of an easy fly in, fly out for geese, swans, and ducks, so kind of low maintenance for that type of attraction. So that'd be nice to utilize that area back there. Super.
Possibly attract some of the geese there.
Sure. They're there.
To that spot, I like that.
How big is that pond?
It's got to be a couple
size, yeah.
probably a couple acres.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I've never, it's all that.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Usually when Gainer
The roundabout
goes, it's
floods,
dirt
that's
road.
where the water goes. The roundabout, I believe.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So then your findings will go to the developer there, or to MSA.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you guys again.
Great job. Yeah, that was
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you.
I can help you type
Some of the data
Thanks, Gavin.
related to the zoo, Dawn has shared with us in past years, and I just pulled it up. In 2017, the petting zoo attendance was 14,047 patrons. So you think about a community that serves about 35,000 people, there's a good number of, there's a good chance those community members are going through our zoo one or multiple times a summer. So I thought, and that's in the span of 79 days. So it's pretty neat to see almost 200 people walk through the doors there in a given season. So a bequest came from an individual that used to live in Wisconsin Rapids, and she gave $300,000 from her estate. And then the commission here last year about this time agreed to participate in a master planning exercise. So I think that's the result. So those are like one of the deliverables is they put together a master plan drawing and graphical plan for us.
Matthew, maybe like with all the added attractions, okay, the initial outlay for doing all this, with all the added attractions, that be obviously as far as upkeep and all the animals and
Certainly.
Obviously a pretty sizable increase.
I think from the discussions we've had so far, I think the idea at this point would be to try to phase some of this stuff, and I think we progress project at a time here, and get an idea where we're at and moving forward.
Great. Any other discussion on this topic? Thank you, Mayor. Okay, number 4, consider Approval for the Mead Splash Pad rules and hours of operation. I know our last meeting, Matt and John were putting together something on this, and it's all finalized now, so yes, everybody has seen that.
Just a note on those two, we did quite a bit of research on there. We were in contact with Wood County Health Department, and we looked at 8 or 9 other facilities in Wisconsin and just kind of put everything together and picked what we thought was the best, and to keep it as relatively short as we could. I don't necessarily know if all those rules will end up on the sign actually at the pad, but we're looking at ways to make those available to the public, and then maybe a condensed version on a sign at the facility.
Has everybody looked them over? Do we have to approve these, or?
I think so. I think we probably want
We
to establish
should,
them.
because they've done the work on them, so. Is it entertain?
I make a motion to approve the Mead Field Splash Pad rules.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Craig to approve. All in favor, or signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have that. Thanks, Dawn and Matt. Number 5, request from Tom Sox to move Memorial Rock from the Veterans Park to the west side of the flagpole location.
I've had, well, and then you already had talked to Susan, Faith Mead. Anyway, I've had Decoras, I don't know if you looked on that rock, that Dar put that rock in there, and if you remember, that used to be on the west side originally. And I played on it as a kid, so a few years back. Well, then they moved it over to Veterans Park, and I believe the Mead Foundation still has a lease on that park, and she thinks she's got rights to it yet. I don't know what all the, but somebody else had went to Dan McCarville at Hargo Monument, and they'd like to put a monument there with some other names on it. So I went to Sue with it, and well, I didn't really see any big problem with it, but then she did bring up a good issue. Well, okay, we allow them to put one in there. So-and-so wants to put one in there. Are we going to allow them? Are we going to allow somebody else? Next thing you know, you're going to have a whole row of other monuments. There's stones there in the park, so I figured the easiest way is just move the stone from Veterans Park back over to the west side where it was originally. And if they want to do, put other stuff down there, I don't know, would there be any problem with putting other stones down there?
Well, I think first we got to back up a little bit, and I don't know if she said that they leased the park, but that's not the correct terminology. I think there's some covenants involved down there, but the city actually owns the property and in the end has the authority, I guess, if you will, to do what we need to do in there, barring the covenants. I think that's a more accurate description, Sue, the mayor.
Right, yeah, but the city owns the park, and there are some restrictive covenants regarding placing certain structures, which, you know, whether a monument or I'm not sure what was envisioned there. But I think those end actually in the next year or two.
2018, 2020.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I guess she wouldn't be the one that decides what happens there. It would be this group. So,
I know we had that issue with the
Yeah.
band shell that they wanted to build down there and brought it up for the council. But which, like I say, you know, if I don't know, I can see her point. If I don't know how anybody else here would be opposed putting more and more and more and more stones in there. You know, like I say, well, if she got one, why can't I get one? Or if he got one, why can't I have one?
but the issue is, okay, there's one stone there now, and so you or someone else wants to enhance that in some way, and
No, what?
you're okay with it staying there, but you think other people want it moved?
I'd like to see it moved back over to
By the flagpole, right on the west
by
side.
the flagpole, that's where it used to be. Yeah, like I say, Daughters of Revolution are the ones that put it there years ago. So I can see it's, you know, and Decorah is the names are on the stone. relative of Decora's. He lives in Green Bay. He wanted to come over and see if they could put another stone in there to honor other brothers. And so I went to the Mead Foundation and talked to him about it, and well, of course, no, she didn't. You know, again, I realized it's really not her say, but
So you would want it moved
back to the west
because of
side.
the possibility of having more enhancements
Right.
to it and that involving her.
Right.
But I'm not sure, you know, whether, so it's to a, what does it say?
It's got the names of, I think there's 4 or 5 different individuals from this area that were in different wars.
Right.
2 or 3 brothers, Decora's, and I can't remember the other ones that were on there. And it's a veterans,
Right.
you know, to honor the veterans there, but like I say, just going, like I said, Decora from, I forgot what his first name was, from Green Bay, like I said, he wanted to know about putting another stone in. And that's, I guess that's the big issue. Okay, we put another stone. Well, let's say we want to put a stone in there now. VFW wants to put a stone in there, or somebody else wants to put a stone in there for veterans, but we won't do it, but we got enough.
I think the mayor has some input.
Yeah, I had a number of discussions with John. I actually met down there. Matt and I met down there maybe a year ago.
Maybe, yeah.
Because, you know, I had seen the boulder there, didn't quite remember what it looked like and all that. And I think they want to just kind of clean it up. It's kind of been, over time, it just needs to probably be pressure washed, or maybe there's another treatment they need to do to it. But originally the vision they had, or John Decora had, his grandfather or great-grandfather maybe. And it's now the tribal band now known as the Ho-Chunk Nation members that served in, tell me what
Before my time.
Anyway, the vision he had was to place what I would call a headstone next to this boulder. And the headstone is quite substantial, very large headstone. And personally, I don't think it fits the character of the park, and I think I had shared the covenant restriction that maybe there would be some opposition by the group that gave the land, or that represents the original land gift to the city related to structures. And so the thought was, well, maybe it could be moved. I had thought, you know, given the Wood County Veterans Memorial at the courthouse, which has its own character and design to it, that any future veterans recognition in the city it's appropriate to be at the courthouse and at the Wood County Veterans Memorial site. So I guess individually I'm in favor of moving the rock. I don't see a problem with that. Just know that there may be an expectation or a future request to place something else there, and that something else could be a very large headstone, which I still believe is probably inappropriate. I'm all respecting the history of the rock, and I think it's a neat feature, but I don't think by adding more to that site necessarily enhances the overall purpose, and I think it can be done fairly well at the Veterans Memorial site that's established at Wood County. So that's a little bit of background and kind of a little more detail on what may be coming as time goes on with the request. And
So what you're saying, I'm sorry, Zach,
Yeah, go ahead.
what you're saying is that even if the rock's moved, you wouldn't advocate for having this headstone by where its new location would be?
Yeah, and I think we should just be clear about what their expectation is. If it moves, what else may be part of that move? Because it's probably going to entail us putting a small concrete pad or something there
It
to
would.
place it on that doesn't exist. So there's some work that needs to be done.
I don't know, you want to put a pad under it?
Well,
If there's a pad under there, there's a chance that our wonderful kids in town might try to roll that stone.
well, I think they have a tough time rolling that. But
I wouldn't,
I guess my concern would be alluding to if we do that and you do go with the headstone, yes, then you're going to be talking, you're going to have support under that headstone, so that would involve pouring a pad. And I don't know in that area if that's appropriate either. And I don't know how far, future riverbank plans are going to go, but, if we start building that area up right there, that might not fit in with the whole future.
We really talked about trying to get something depressed into the ground that wouldn't be, elevated into the air at all. I think I guess I advocate for, let's make sure we got a sketch or something so we know what we're talking about there. But I think it makes sense to get everybody's, or get the commission's input on, if we want to move it, number one, number two, what may, if that's it and not allow any future enhancements in that area, just based on there's not a lot of space, and the riverfront has a character to it.
You know, and that's what I say.
Any other discussion? Anybody have any other input?
I guess from a perspective of somebody new to the community, I want to go check it out because I'm having a hard time envisioning what the circumstances are. In addition to the site that I would want to be moved to, and then a plan, like some kind of a sketch of here's what we envision is going to happen over time or potentially going to happen over time. And frankly, even if it stays, we move the stone and it stays just like that, no harm, no foul. But if there's additional things that want to transpire, that it works within the expectation of, community members and so forth and so on. I clearly don't have any strong opinions on either direction of it, but to me, I think evaluating a little bit more and understanding where we want to go with it and really understanding the site and what it looks like now, what it'll look like in the future makes a lot of sense. But again, I've lived here now for 8 months, so.
Well, I'd make a motion to postpone this item. If we have any question tabling it, we can then decide when we want to take it off the table. I don't know, Sue, do you have an opinion about, we should probably just use the postponement and postpone it to a next meeting if there's an update, great. If not, then.
Right.
Well, I'd like to make another comment about it. As far as, like I say, that stone was on the west side when I was a little kid. And I know a few of us older people here might, we used to go play on it back over there. And
I haven't been getting up there.
I'm 38 now.
It's on the west bank, right?
On the west side, right by the flagpole was where it was. And we only have, one ceremony there a year, which the Elks Club, they have a flag ceremony there. And I don't know, I think that to bring it back there, I think it was a little more, remembers people that remember it from back then, the way it used to be. Flagpole and that stone were together. And I say a flagpole, same thing, it's a new one now, but that flagpole's been there for way back, so.
Is there any specific Veterans Memorial in Wisconsin Rapids? You mentioned
One at the
Wood County.
courthouse, yeah. It's out in front of the courthouse.
Yeah.
But that's called the Wood County Veterans Memorial. I gotcha. Okay.
That,
And there wasn't receptivity to moving that stone there, right?
no.
Well, shall we table this or postpone this or until the commissioners all get a look at it, or and then
We'll see some kind of a plan.
okay.
Not even exactly where to move it over there, I'm not.
Well, and again, I don't think the issue is necessarily just moving the rock per se, but it's what accompanies that, and I think that's what we need to, if they have a plan and this thing that sits next to it is huge, we should have some sort of a layout so that you can go over there, fit it in, and see if it's going to work or not.
I think they secured a $6,000 gift for some improvements, so there is some expectation of future work. But I think we should all be understood what that plan and the expectation that they and others may have for that donation. So my motion is to postpone it for a future meeting.
For a future meeting, okay. Motion by the mayor to postpone this till future meeting.
I'll second it.
Second by Craig. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Tom. Number 6, update on the park department future outlay contracts. That information should be in our package. Matt, did you normally, you used to give us a rundown on...
Yeah, I actually just got back. I didn't get a chance to get upstairs and get a copy of that, but maybe Don's got something. I think what we did, if I recall, the last time we wanted, the commission wanted to put this in a priority. So we kind of looked at everything, our schedules, and what we thought was important, and we did a loose from top to bottom with a priority list. Some of the items near the top, they've been on there for a couple of years, or they're in progress, or they fit well with, work we're already doing, or they're in great need. For instance, the bathroom floors at Robinson Park, that's something that, was actually way beyond the point where it needed to be done. So when we looked at everything, that's what we did. We just kind of put it in an order here and of what we thought would made sense from top to bottom.
So this isn't an action item, I don't think, for the commission necessarily. I don't know if the agenda doesn't, I guess, indicate that it is. One comment, though, or addition for the list would be, and whether it falls in streets or parks or whatever, is the Park and Rec Commission had taken action on Legion Park, which is the former East Side Pool site a couple of years ago. We've done some of the improvements. We also were able to track down another donation that has not been encumbered for that, and I think staff is working on that. So I just would add Legion Park and just kind of, we need to refigure out what needs to be done and what we have money for.
Are you talking something other than the picnic tables that are being?
Yeah, the performance pad and the lighting and some of those things. So I think we've got, Pepco gave us $4,000, I think, to do some work, and then Mead Witter agreed, but I think we need to figure out if Mead Witter is still willing to make that commitment. So based on some correspondence I had with them, not knowing where plans stood and what was going to be done. So I would just add that, have Dawn add that to the list, and just got to figure out where, how much money is left and when we can do that work. And another question for Matt. This relates to Witter Field and the bathroom countertops. I know we had some discussion about timing on that. And if it's something that, if we've got the resources to do those, given the amount of non-baseball events there, and I know there's some lease questions yet outstanding, but maybe revisit that for a spring project. Maybe we just connect offline about that.
Sure, I'll talk to you about where we're at with that.
That sounds good.
Sure.
Well, I'm sorry, Matt, are you planning on doing some of these things this spring then?
Yes, some of them are, like the waterfall, we're probably at 70% completion on that already.
Okay.
We're hoping to get the grills in this year for sure. The floors, I've made arrangements to start on those as soon as frost is out of the ground at Robinson Park.
Okay.
So yeah, we're definitely gonna get as much done as we can.
Okay. All right, any more discussion? If not, we'll...
Just a question. So we've got potentially as much as $334,000 of improvements. Obviously, the Mead Field lot is probably going to come off of there unless we do a lot at Mead Field, for example, with the master plan or that. So my question is, what is available in the park outlay as of now? I think it just gives commissioners and myself an idea of what other improvements might we be able to afford. Accomplishing them is a different thing depending on if it's our crews or if it's going to be outside.
Right, and I think the last outlay update we did was probably about 3 months ago, maybe. So if you'd like, I can try to get an updated one here for the next meeting.
That'd be great. For the money available.
Yeah, because we've had an installment since then from hotel tax, so I can get an update. And that figure has gone up slightly from what the average. It seems like statistically it seems to be rising a little bit now. So I will have an updated figure for you at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. All right, we move into our annual lease agreements here. So let's begin with, and Sue is here if we have any questions. Number 7 here, approve the lease agreement with Wisconsin Rapids Men's Softball Association for its use of Mead Field for the summer of 2018.
I'm sorry. This is pretty much the same as last year. As I don't know if Dawn has made that clear to you regarding the renewal or not, or maybe you agreed. I'm making, since we've kind of reached a comfort level, I think, with each of these organizations over the past few years, as I told you when we first made these 1 years, that I was not a fan of the previous 5 and 10 years that we had been doing, to just kind of gain some more control over what was going on. But I'm suggesting or recommending that all of these contracts be automatic renewals unless, city staff or Park and Rec feels that we want to go in a different direction, or there are changes to be made, and the same with the teams or the leagues. If they want to do something different in that way, then we wouldn't have to redo these each year. So I think we have a good handle on what's going on, and they've been pretty consistent throughout the years. So the first one is the men's. I heard from every group except from the men's, but usually Jack is fine with it. I sent him a letter. He's the only one that doesn't have an email. Everyone else got back to me promptly. I haven't heard from him. Sent it to him about a week ago, but as I said, they usually never have any problem with it. And it's the same terms as previous years with the Men's Softball Association.
So these would be like maybe every, not necessarily 5 years, but if they have a problem, if someone has a problem.
We, at any time, we could say not for next year for whatever reason, but it just avoids having to come back each year and typing up new, or bringing in new contracts. It's just assume that we're going to kind of keep the same terms each year, so.
That would make sense. Okay, are we going to approve all these, or are we going to make that into a form of a motion right now and just...
I guess you could, I don't know if anyone had any issues with any specific ones. I guess you could make a motion to accept them all if you don't have any issues with any of them. They're all basically the same. I think Chad is here from the Legion. More to introduce himself. I think you don't have any issues with anything, right?
Yep, correct. Just coming to say hello, and I know many of you, but this is my first year as the Legion president, so we are having 2 teams again this year, so fortunately we have some good numbers. So far we have about 32 that have signed up for the 2 teams, so pretty decent. And then obviously we're looking at using Witter primarily for our home team, or our home games, looking at 2 games at Mead as well. So excited for the warmer weather coming up here. So.
And you have an additional tournament this year?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. But the Ranger, so that's the senior league level, we are hosting the regional tournament this year, which is July 20th through the 24th. And John from the Raptors organization has been great. They actually tweaked their schedule a little bit when they're going through that period, and so it falls over their all-star break, and they also had some away games to basically accomplish that so we could get that regional tournament, so worked out well.
Super.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the Ramblers would be the ones playing at Mead.
Correct, yeah. Regional tournament, yeah. Busy weekend, that July 20th to the 24th, but the more the merrier, I guess. Yeah.
So the biggest difference from last year is we don't have the Raptors or the Rapid Fire, correct? Or
Rapid Fire and the Rebels.
Rebels.
I haven't heard from any of them, and I think they've pretty much disbanded, so we don't have any issues with Ryza. There was some issues with Ed Robinson in past years, but so yeah, that all went pretty smoothly. We also, a new thing that was new with the Legion last year at Witter was them preparing their own concessions other than the alcohol. Obviously, the Raptors were still in charge of that, but, and I hope that worked out well for them, allows them to retain some more concession money. And that's why their concession payment in their contract is probably lower than in other years, because they're now keeping, their own concession money. And those amounts will change each year in terms of the amounts for Assumption, Lincoln, and Legion, depending on whatever the concession revenues are, then that's paid to them in the subsequent year. So those will continue.
So with Rapid Fire and the Rebels gone, Robbie North will default back to the old agreement with RISA?
Right.
Okay.
If there's no schedule conflicts with this, I would like to make a motion to approve item number 7 through 14, all baseball and softball agreements with the respective associations, and place all contracts on automatic renewal pending any organization comes out and wishes to cancel or modify the agreement.
Motion made by Steve. You all heard the motion. It makes sense. I would agree with that too.
I'll second that.
Second by Derek. Okay, motion made, second by Derek. All signify by say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. So 7 through 14, all of these are. Thank you. Okay, we move on. Item number 15. I think, Steve, you looked at the bills. How do they look?
I would make a motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Steve. Second by Lee. Lee, second to approve the bills for the month. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have that. And staff report. Mary, you want to lead off?
I sent out a written staff report that probably went with the agenda and everything. So, I mean, we're in the middle of spring. All of our spring classes, the ice pond has been pulled. There's a little summary on the ice ponds. And as well as winter leagues, our last volleyball will be tomorrow night, since we had 3 different snow days and ice storms and cancellations. So those will be winding up. And then we will be at the Teen Job Fair at Lincoln High School, and we'll also be at the Children's Festival at Lincoln High School in April. And I will be on vacation next week, and I'm busy getting the summer flyer ready to go so that we can hand it out at the Children's Festival on April 21st.
Seems like pickleball is picking up.
Pickleball is picking up, yeah. We added a spring season, worked with Lincoln High School to add an open league after our regular league season ended. There was a request that the players still wanted to keep playing until the weather got nice enough outside to play. So we've got East Junior High through the second week of May for pickleball. So it is picking up.
Good. Any other comments or questions of Mary? Thank you for that report.
On the Parks DPW end, we've spent a lot of time this winter working on the blue stem comprehensive tree inventory. There was a lot of removals on there, decay, damage, ash trees that had already died off, and we've been working on that pretty extensively. We're through the removals other than a couple of huge cottonwoods, which are going to take some pretty heavy-duty machinery and some road closures to take care of. Once we're completed with that, we're working on their priority prune list, and that'll take us into our spring season. So, and we've started our initial contacts for zoo animals for this year. We got our license back. We're working on some improvements down there in the petting zoo. The attendants had no vision when they were sitting in there of anything going on the outside, so we've added some windows in those corners to brighten it up and to let them see what's going on out in the main part of the zoo. So we're getting that completed. With the feed money, we were able to buy Ron a utility vehicle with a little dump box on the back, which will greatly improve his efficiencies as far as feeding and waste pickup and that type of thing. We found a used 2008 Carryall 2. I think we got $4,100 or $4,200 in it. So that's going to be a nice improvement as well. And hopefully we got some every year we've been pecking away at some of the old redwood fencing down there. We're not touching the outside because obviously with the zoo master plan, that footprint may change. So we're gonna wait on that. But as far as around some of the exhibits, we're slowly been removing the old redwood fencing and putting new black chain link up with a protective guard on the top. It prevents climbing on, and it just looks aesthetically a ton better. So working on that, and obviously the park startup stuff will be happening in a month or so, and we're preparing for that. On the buildings ends, unfortunately, we've had some issues. We had a burner failure on one of our boilers at Centralia, and we had a air handler here. We had one of the major shafts on one of the big blowers go out. So a couple of pretty big repairs there. And we did a lot of paint work. Some of it's still in progress here at City Hall. And at Centralia, we did a lot of paint touch-up, and we did some floor tile work. Over the years, it had been taped at the seams, and it was pretty unsightly, and we've got all that taken care of. And so just trying to make things buttoned up, looking a little better, and
Super.
that type of thing. So
Good. I see there's already been activity at Helen's house, hasn't there, at the zoo? I saw a whole bunch of people over there the other day.
that may have been for the youth council.
Oh, the youth. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not open yet. There's no water.
No, I didn't think so.
Turned on, so.
So. Okay, any other questions of Matt on his report? Otherwise, thank you. That moves us to adjournment. Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Steve, second by... Second. Great. To adjourn, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, commissioners, staff, and guests, and public as well. Have a good evening.